Guys, it's Wednesday. Good Wednesday afternoon. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We're live in Charlottesville. We're live in the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We love to connect with you through this platform. We're loaded. We have a leader in the city of Charlottesville that says, I don't support UVA students returning to grounds. We have 2 new restaurants that have announced their permanent closing in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We're going to introduce you to the Wool Factory that's doing a soft opening, a fabulous wedding, event, brewery, and restaurant space in Albemarle County and Woollen Mills. We have pediatricians across the country that are calling upon policymakers and educators to have in-person classes for students this fall. And these pediatricians say if we don't have in-person classes for students this fall, the ramifications for your children and mine are significant. I have that story for you on the I Love CVille Show. We asked you to like and share the stream. We're live on 12 Facebook pages. You can also shape the discussion by offering your comments in the comment section, whether it's an interview or a topic or a question or an answer, or heck, you could even say, not so fast, Jerry, this is where I think we're heading. I will relay your perspective on air. Just type it in the comment section. Guys, we're an advertising agency. We work with 112 businesses up and down the East Coast, from New Providence, New Jersey to Asheville, North Carolina. Our heart is in Charlottesville and in the Commonwealth, however. 2 of our favorites, Interstate Pest and Service Companies and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Interstate is a 4-generation strong business. They are truly a home's best friend, committed to you and their employees from a safety and health standpoint. They are who you call when you need something at your house. Just like Scott Wagner's who you call when you need something for your body. Whether it's chiropractic care, sports medicine, or physical therapy, Dr. Wagner has your back. We'll give some props to Judah Wickhauer. He's the director of the show. Judah, let's get to headlines. I think the first one is Phase 3. Phase 3 begins today. First, get the headline on screen from Richmond Times-Dispatch and then show the graphic of what's allowed. By now, you follow this extremely closely. The only curveball was what the governor did late yesterday when he said, hey, I'm going to disallow bar seating. I've seen what's happened in states like Texas and Florida, and a lot of COVID cases are manifesting themselves at bar seating when people are elbow to elbow. They're having some adult beverages. Maybe they're not as conscious of what they're doing from a social distance standpoint. So the only curveball was that the bars are not going to allow seating. We knew that social gatherings were going to be raised from 50 to 250 people. 250 people is a lot. You can start having some weddings and events with 250 people, okay? Social distancing, they still recommend the 6 feet, okay? Hair salons and barbershops can open again, thank goodness. People, this is how they make their living, okay? Child care centers can open completely. I think this is something that is undoubtedly something that needs to be highlighted more. Child care centers can open completely. So mom and dad that are working, mom and dad that are uncertain about who's going to watch their son or daughter because they have to go to work, they have an option with a child care center now. Okay? Child care centers are critically important to our community because they allow mom and dad, when they don't have family or friends in the area that can watch their kids, to have someone reliable to look after their son or daughter so they can earn a living. Child care centers open completely. So restaurants can open completely in the dining room, but not in the bar area. Patios are back. Gym and fitness centers are at 75% capacity, and swimming pools can operate at a 75% capacity. I'm a member at ACAC. I got an email this morning about booking your time in a swimming pool. You can reserve 90 minutes for you and your family to go and swim at one of their many swimming pools now. So things are opening back up again. Cautious, 6 feet. When in public spaces, not like this private studio, but in public spaces, you wear your mask. Okay? Ralph Northam is watching the other states as they either struggle or have success with their reopenings. California, Texas, they're phasing theirs back. Florida's phasing theirs back. Ralph is watching them really closely. Let's see what happens as phase 3 starts today. Another storyline that I really want to cover also is tied to reopening, and that's from Mayor Walker. Yes, the mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia. Now, she was posting some stuff, Judah, and I'm going to wait for me to tell you before you put this on screen. She was posting some stuff, Mayor Walker, on her Facebook page. She actively posts on Facebook. Mayor Walker does Facebook Lives. She posts commentary, just like us. She uses Facebook and Instagram and social media just like us, Mayor Walker does. She's a person. One of the posts, though, and when you're the mayor, your posts are going to be read, scrutinized, and considered more closely than if you were a citizen in Charlottesville. Is that not fair? Am I being wrong here before I tell you what she wrote on Facebook? And someone tag her. Someone let her know we're talking about this, please. Someone let her know we're talking about this, please. Okay? Is it unfair to hold what the mayor says on social media, what a superintendent says on social media, what a board of supervisors says on social media, what a police chief says on social media? Is it unfair to hold what they say on social at a higher regard than a private citizen? The answer to that question is absolutely not. When you get into public office, scrutiny is part of it. And yesterday, and go ahead and put it on screen now, Judah. Look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen, and look at the screen. Is it on there, Judah?
It is.
Okay. So, Mayor Walker posted a story yesterday morning about the CDC saying the United States has way too much virus to control pandemic cases as they surge across the country. It was an article from CNBC basically saying that the CDC says, look, this pandemic is spreading everywhere. People are going from lockdown states to non-lockdown states, and that's how it's spreading even more. People are going from Myrtle Beach to Roanoke and spreading COVID to Roanoke after going and partying at Myrtle Beach. That's in the Roanoke Times today. So put it on screen again. I'm going to read it from her Facebook page now. I am not in support of bringing students from all over the world back to the community. This in regards to someone saying UVA allowing students back into town. She voices her support saying, I do not support bringing students from all over the world back to the community. Is that on screen still, Judah?
I just took it off.
You can put it back on there again here. I think it's important. Look at the screen. Now, here's my take. And give the show a like and a share. Tag Mayor Walker. Here's my take on this. I understand that there is trepidation of students from New York, Florida, California, Texas, Italy, Spain, students from hot spot areas coming to Charlottesville in the fall for in-person classes. I understand there is trepidation and concern and uncertainty with this. We are fearful that folks from outside Charlottesville may bring something to here and it could spread through the community. That's what Mayor Walker's saying. I get it. But I'd like to take a more macro perspective than this micro perspective she's taking. Folks, if we do not have UVA students on grounds this fall, we, without question, will feel the financial ramifications of 20 to 25,000 students with mommy and daddy's credit card not spending their money in our community. And folks, as I take this macro perspective, please realize that the students with mommy and daddy's credit card are spending money, retail, food and beverage, concerts and music, sporting events, asking mom and dad to come visit them, where mom and dad, when they visit them on certain days, helping them move in or spending money in the community. We're the city of UVA. And if Mayor Walker says, I don't support the students returning to Charlottesville in the fall, that is short-sighted thinking. And why it's short-sighted thinking is because we will lose the incremental tax revenue that comes from students being on grounds for the end of 2020. And as we lose incremental tax revenue from student spending, whether that's beer and booze, whether that's food, whether that's sporting events, whether that's retail, whether that's going to wineries, breweries, venues, events, anything, if we continue to lose incremental revenue, the people that truly suffer are the citizens in Charlottesville that are already living on margin. Schools will suffer because we don't have the money coming in from incremental tax dollars. Roads will suffer because we don't have the money coming in from incremental tax dollars. Fire, police, and EMTs will suffer because we don't have the incremental tax dollars. And when you don't have incremental tax dollars coming into your community, and the University of Virginia is the primary source for incremental tax dollars in our community, we know this, it's the city of UVA. If you turn your back on students returning for the fall, like she has done, you're missing the bigger picture of this impacting folks living on the margin from a school, from a police, from a fire, from a health, from a safety, from a roads, from a transportation, and from an equality, equitable, and social justice standpoint. Charlottesville, if it doesn't have tax dollars, and we're at a tax deficit, and right now our mayor is saying, I don't support the students returning in the fall. We're at a deficit that's $8 to $10 million already because of COVID in the city, even more in the county, and the mayor of Charlottesville is saying, I don't support the students returning in the fall. That is a head-scratching statement to me. The people that will most be impacted by the students not returning in the fall are the exact folks that Mayor Walker has done a fabulous job championing and having their back, folks living on the margin. Big picture, please. It's called leadership. Big picture, please. It's called leadership. It's not about the battle, it's about the war. Okay? It's about winning big picture. That is a cause for concern, and you should be concerned about that as well. You should be concerned about that. Next headline comes from U.S. Pediatricians across the country. This is from NPR. Okay? And I'm going to read a couple of key tidbits because they literally have to do with what I just said about Mayor Walker, and they literally just have to do about Phase 3. So see what I'm doing? I'm giving you the knowledge that Phase 3 is reopening. I'm applying that Phase 3 reopening knowledge to Charlottesville, and that our mayor is saying, yeah, we have Phase 3 reopening, but I don't support students coming to grounds. She said that yesterday. And now I'm taking it a step further and relaying to you what the American Academy of Pediatrics had to say in a strong statement. Okay? Schools are fundamental, quote, this is from the American Academy of Pediatrics, quote, schools are fundamental to child and adolescent development and well-being. The article further says, students that are staying home and not being in in-person classes, they will see declines in cognitive functioning, the ability to interact with other children, verbal issues, and a litany of other ones. The American Academy of Pediatrics cites mounting evidence that the transmission of coronavirus by young children is uncommon. And they say that we need to have our youth in schools this fall, or this generation will be set back orders of magnitude greater than we can even imagine. It's in the article. You have pediatricians in the American Academy of Pediatrics literally saying, these are doctors, these are children's doctors. They're literally saying, if these kids, in this generation of kids, do not go to school this fall, they will be set back orders of magnitude greater than we've ever seen and can ever imagine from a verbal, from a physical, from a socialized standpoint. These are freaking doctors saying it. And one of the tidbits that really caught me here, that's really important to me, is this one. And I'm going to read it verbatim. The impacts of not having students in classes this fall will be more severely on black and brown children and low-income children with learning disabilities. This is the group that will be impacted more than any others. These are folks living on the margin. This is what I've been saying. Not having children in school, according to the Pediatric Academy, the American Academy of Pediatrics, not having children in school will, quote, lead to child and adolescent physical or sexual abuse, substance use, depression, suicidal ideation. It will lead to not developing the child's brain. It will also lead to social issues that we have yet not even determined. Guys, I talked about this on Monday. This is what's happening here. This is what's happening. We got a public school system in Virginia that may not fully open this fall. However, we have private schools all over Virginia that are opening this fall for in-person classes. We have Fairfax County schools literally saying, their teacher association, there are 3 of them in the Fairfax County public school system, literally saying, we're not going to go back to in-person classes this fall as a teacher group. Now we have pediatric doctors across America saying, if your kids don't go to school this fall, they will be set back dramatically, socially, mentally, physically, to levels we cannot even tell you because we've never seen anything like this. It's crazy, man. You got like all these different factors going on in the world where schools and the folks that work schools, and I understand why, don't want to do it in person this fall. You got pediatric doctors across the country saying, you better do it in person this fall. You got superintendents saying, we're going to do it, but teachers saying we're not. You got private schools undoubtedly doing it, and they're setting up classes outside on their vast acreage and plots of land. And like that, the wealth gap, inequality amongst races gets greater and worsens. Education is how you close the wealth gap. And education is one of the factors that breeds social justice and civility and social coming together. And here we are seeing before our very eyes, the commoditization of education in America. It's getting commoditized. And the last thing we want is a commoditized educational infrastructure. We don't want our education to be commoditized. That's what's happening. Watch it. I'm watching it. Follow this. All right, let's get to some closures. How about, did you get the screenshot from NBC 29, Judah?
Yep.
All right, Wegmans Pub Closes forever. Put that on screen. So I've got some new closures happening for you. And tomorrow we'll give you an update on the Charlottesville Empty Storefront Index. And on the Charlottesville Empty Storefront Index, we follow here at the I Love CVille Networks the vast empty storefronts that are springing up. I have a lot more to show you tomorrow, but here's a taste. Wegmans, the pub and the restaurant at Wegmans is now closed permanently. Furthermore, Charlottesville IHOP is closed forever. The IHOP in Charlottesville, done, finito, hasta luego, so long, peace out, sayonara, give me a fist bump and hit the door. Bye-bye IHOP. When Wegmans is a privately held company, not public, privately held. These people are freaking crushing it, and you know that. Wegmans mistakenly sold some I Love CVille t-shirts in their store. I have the USPTO trademark. Uncle Sam has said Jerry Miller is the only person that can use the I Love CVille trademark. And if anyone else does, they have to answer to me, Uncle Sam. So Wegmans mistakenly uses the I Love CVille trademark because they go to a t-shirt provider. I think it was Gildan. And they said, Gildan, we're opening a store in Charlottesville. We need some t-shirts to sell at the front of the store, at the end of the registers as people are walking out. And we want that merchandise to be tied to Charlottesville, Virginia. Okay, because it's a Charlottesville store, and people love to pound their chests and say how much they love this town. Wegmans mistakenly, because of the t-shirt provider they partnered with, they mistakenly were selling I Love CVille t-shirts. And they did so for 13 days. Long story short, Wegmans, when we brought this to their attention, of course through my legal counsel, who we have on retainer, Wegmans said, we did wrong. We know we have to pay you. What's the payday? I asked for something exorbitantly high. They said that's not going to work. And we settled something in the middle. Still, it was 6 figures plus and a very nice payday for moi. Wegmans did this without blinking an eye. A 6-figure payday to somebody like me calls for celebration. A 6-figure payday for someone like Wegmans, we do that between 2 and 3 o'clock at our Charlottesville location, right? So when somebody like Wegmans closes their restaurant and their grocery store forever, you literally have to wonder what the future is of sit-down, elevated dining in this country. Wegmans has more money in their pockets than most restaurant owners do. That's safe to say. They're closing it forever, and they're doing it at 11 other locations with potentially more to come. Tomorrow, we'll give you an update on the Charlottesville Empty Storefront Index here on the I Love CVille Show, including more that are happening on the downtown mall. We're going to give you an update as we try to save the fireworks on the I Love CVille Show. That's coming up. We'll hear from Alex Erpy, and we'll give you an update on the Wool Factory, a phenomenal situation that's opening in Woolen Mills. First, I want to reach out to David. David Trivette, Judah? Is that right? You got your mic in front of you, Judah? I got David on the line. Calling him. David owns 6 Jimmy John's. He comes well recommended from Anwar Allen. I have yet to meet this guy. Let's get you to turn that camera on for us, David, so we can see you. No problem. Oh, nice, dude. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. You look fantastic. I'm getting the green light from our team that you're live here across the Commonwealth in Charlottesville and the country on the show. All right, why don't I step out of your way? David, before we talk shop, introduce the world to who you are. Who are you personally?
I am originally from East Tennessee. Went to University of Tennessee, and that's where I stumbled upon Jimmy John's. Before that, I met my wife when I was about 5 years old, and so
you've been charming your wife since you were 5?
It took a long time. It did. Yes, it took a long time. We got married in college, and shortly after that, we jumped into this with my brother and his wife, and the rest, I guess, is history. So it's been a good run so far. But that's sort of the short version, I guess, of who I am.
That's a great answer. Okay, so family-owned business. I try to emphasize this so many times on the show. I'm all about local, local, local. And folks don't realize with your businesses, it doesn't get any more local than this. I mean, you guys are invested in the community. You keep your money in the community. Just because it's a franchise doesn't mean it's not local. So I try to emphasize this here. You have economies of scale and some built-in efficiencies having 6 locations. So first, I want to highlight the flip book of what your ownership team experienced this year with COVID-19. We often talk about vulnerability and fear and uncertainty here because that's who we are as entrepreneurs. We overcome that all the time. How about for your team, when this started coming out, what was going through y'all's minds?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've talked to a number of people. Anwar is one of them. Brad Buell, who I think you had on the other
Yesterday.
day, is also a friend from church. Yesterday, okay, he's a friend from church, and I spoke to him early on during this, and I think there is a cycle that many of us went through relating to this on the sort of the emotional and mental side of it, where initially there was, I think, a high level of uncertainty, and then a high level of sort of fear associated with that as well. From there, I would say that for us probably lasted a week or 2 weeks, sort of in a really intense way. And then from there, it's been a really unique and encouraging, I think, transition into recognizing that we are all businesses, all folks in the community in Charlottesville, in the state, in the country, and the world are kind of in a similar situation. We all do different things, but it was really neat to see everybody start to rally around the common purpose of making it through this. And so as a business owner, there's obviously really important relationships in business. And on the back end, you've got obviously vendors, banks, landlords, partners. Those are really important relationships. And I experienced a very positive response on all levels with all of those relationships, which was really helpful. And then on the front side, you have, really primarily relationships with team members and customers in the community at large. And so kind of the same thing there. We have a fantastic team. The team really is the one. I'm just sort of I'm sort of obviously, but because we were doing no dine-in and we were doing carry-out and delivery only. Fortunately, we do that part of our business pretty well, so
Right.
we could keep doing that. And then the customers were also very, very fantastic. We early on, there weren't many of them because we were just very, very slow. But as people started to come back out and feel a little more comfortable with the things that I think we were doing and some of the safety protocols that the government has suggested and put in place, they were encouraging. Many were really thankful places were still open. I think it provides some level of normalcy.
How about? Okay, we have David. I'm getting word here from the team over here that the connection's a little choppy with here, and we have a lot of knowledge that I want to hear from you. Judah, is the connection any better here? Do you think?
It's going good right now.
All right, we'll give it a whirl. Let's keep it going here. So, David, let me ask you this: how do you get six? How do you get 6 spots? How do you go about doing that?
I was a delivery driver for Jimmy John's at University of Tennessee in college, and that's sort of where we first were introduced to the concept and the idea. And from there, and my brother also worked at that same location. And then from there, we found another partner. And so we're from East Tennessee, and we wanted to have a lot of family in Tennessee, and we wanted to be fairly close to home. We didn't really want to move across the country to open a business. And so at the time, there were about 200 Jimmy John's nationwide, and they were doing really well on college campuses. And so we had a friend who went to Virginia Tech from high school, and we'd been to Blacksburg a few times. And so we were able to sign a deal with Jimmy John's to open. Initially, it was 5 stores in Blacksburg, Charlottesville, and Harrisonburg. And from there, we added one more store, but then we just kind of started the process at that point. We opened the first one in Blacksburg. That was in April of 2005. And then in December of 2005, we opened the first store in Charlottesville. And so at that point, my brother moved from Blacksburg to Charlottesville. And then at that point, from there, we just sort of opened the store in Harrisonburg, another one in Blacksburg, another one in Charlottesville, and another one in Harrisonburg. And then that's how we got to 6. And so it was a development process through Jimmy John's, and it took us a few years to get it done. And but that's sort of how we got from 1 to 6. We signed on to a development agreement early on.
Cool. Let me throw this to you here. So your business, because of the takeaway fast element of your business, I mean, you have a lot of leg up, maybe I could say, over, say, a traditional sit-down restaurant. What's the pivot? What's the strategy? What's moving forward? What are you hearing from corporate about where it's going to go and what we need to do to survive? Because I think, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show here is obviously you're an extremely smart guy. You come extremely well recommended by Anwar. And on top of that, I think because of your intelligence, you've partnered with a brand like Jimmy John's and that you get a ton of value from corporate that trickles down. And I think the small operators are watching you here and learning what you guys are doing and maybe applying it to their models.
Yeah, well, I would say, to go way back to the beginning, Jimmy John's was a brand at the time that was sort of unique because they offered delivery of sandwiches 15, 16 years ago. That was a rare thing.
Right.
And so you didn't have any of the third-party delivery services at that point. And so that was unique. And we liked the simplicity of the model at the time. That was limited inventory, small shop, lots of delivery, and pickup didn't actually really become a thing for us until about 2 or 3 years ago. And so if you bring that forward to now, as we're facing this crisis, we have a brand and a model that's set up really well around delivery and pickup. And we even have seen over the past 2 years a real acceleration of pickup. Before the COVID thing was even on the map, that part of our business was accelerating. And so once this hit, we were pretty well positioned in terms of our operation to just hit that full throttle. And we closed down our dining rooms, and we can do without that piece of the business for right now, and we can really excel at pickup and delivery. And so we were, as this came online, once we kind of gathered our senses, if you will, in terms of just dealing with the crisis broadly and changing our operations for safety, we were really well positioned at that point to just execute really well, try to at least execute really well on those two pieces of our business. And the third piece, which is people coming in, sitting down for, maybe a business lunch or to take a break during lunch, we're still not doing that right now. But we are positioned pretty well, I think, with the pickup. And a lot of that has to do with what happens, what we would say inside the four walls of the kitchen in terms of the execution of making the food. We make it really quickly. It's fresh. It doesn't, it's not, we don't do any hot food. So there's not any sort of deterioration with that in terms of time sitting on a shelf. And so the speed of our operation and the simplicity of it really, I think, has positioned pretty well to be able to hang on during this time.
So we were right here. You have 13. I'm hearing from the team 14 now different restaurant owners watching the show here, and they're asking questions that I'm going to relay to you here. Do you have? Here's one of the questions that's good. Do you have in-house delivery where it's already on the Jimmy John's team, or are you third-partying delivery? Then they also want your perspective on the third parties. I will give some background. I've called Grubhub in a lot of ways the devil to restaurants here because of the huge amount of money that they take from these restaurants. A lot of these third parties are putting menus on their websites without the restaurants even knowing them, and they're getting phone calls for delivery, and they're like, we don't even offer this.
Yeah.
So a lot of the restaurant owners are watching. They're like, we're so scared to partner with Grubhub. What do we do here? Because I think everyone's realizing the emphasis for delivery and takeout.
Yeah, and I will say that we do all in-house. We don't partner with any third-party delivery services, and that sort of has been a point of differentiation for Jimmy John's for a little while. And all the things you said, I think, are reasons why.
You are cutting out a little bit here, which is a bummer because you're dropping some knowledge bombs here. Your margin.
$1 per sandwich is our delivery fee, max of $3. And so if you order 10 sandwiches at Jimmy John's, it's $3 delivery fee. And so if you order one sandwich, it's $1 delivery fee. And so it's compared to the competitor third party, which is, again, probably $3, $4, $5, I would think, per order minimum. And so, yeah, it's tough. It really is tough because you also see businesses who feel like they have to do it to be competitive, but by doing it, they're giving up so much And so again, in terms of the customer perception of them, the customer experience, and again, the margin that they're giving up to do that. But we do all in-house at Jimmy John's.
Are you guys, can I ask this question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Are you guys up at your locations? Because there's some restaurants that are actually up in COVID, and you guys are set up pretty nicely. Are you guys up at these 6 spots?
We have seen some weeks that have been up. We have 2 that are probably still down. I was looking at it this morning, still down 30 to 50% on average.
Okay, so that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's the store in Blacksburg, one of the stores in Blacksburg, and one of the stores in Harrisonburg, and they're both just sitting right beside campus. And there's no summer orientation, there's no football camps, there's nothing going on for the universities right now. And so those 2 are still taking a pretty heavy hit. The other ones are, we're still ranging somewhere between, down 20 or 30% some weeks, and some weeks we'll be up 5 or 10%, sort of like a one-off. We're not, it's hard to gauge the sales right now. It's really hard to determine and predict what's going to happen. But we have a drive-through store in Harrisonburg that is done better than all the others because it just has
a drive-through
option.
Yeah.
We do, yeah, over at JMU.
What's the strategy if students don't come back full force or an abbreviated term in the fall?
We're still trying to figure that out. For the campus stores, there's a real wild card for the fall because we don't know. We think students are coming back, right? But those plans are tentative. We know that could change. That could change. Yeah, we don't know really what's going to happen with sports, and so we were talking about Virginia Tech football. That's the stadium's a mile from our store. That's a big source of revenue for us. So we don't know what's happening with that. But then on the other side of that, you have the situation where we know, as it's currently planned, students are coming back to town, but there's going to be very limited dining services at Virginia Tech and at JMU and at UVA. And so that's another wild card that could push students out into the community to eat when they would normally be eating on campus. But they're either they don't have that option, or they're not going to drive to campus and park and walk. They're going to go somewhere else closer or easier. And so with the campus stores, there really are just a lot of wild cards, to be honest, right now. And we're preparing, we're staffing up, we're hiring a bunch of people at those locations to try to be prepared for whatever happens in August, but we just don't know yet.
This talented businessman, guys, has 6 Jimmy John's locations here. Have the landlords worked with you? I'm a landlord myself here. We're working with some of our tenants. The landlords work with you?
They have. All of our landlords have worked with us in one way or another. It hasn't been the same everywhere, but they have all worked with us, and they've all been generous. So it's been, again, I think what everybody recognized early on was you're either going to work with folks for me, we're going to work with team members. We're going to work with customers to try to make them feel comfortable. Landlords, banks, they're going to work with their borrowers, vendors. We're all trying to work together. And I think I realized that either we all work together or the whole sort of house of cards.
Or the supply chain is in trouble if you don't do that.
Yeah, for sure. And so we have had, our landlords have been great.
How about this question? I'm getting the impression that you're a cautious optimist, and this undoubtedly is a platform of hope and positivity. And I think we can be hopeful and positive while still acknowledging that we're scared and nervous and uncertain of what's happening. You're a leader. Show's yours. A lot of people watching here. How about a message of hope and positivity for all those that are watching?
Yeah, I think that as I was saying before, I've seen so much of that. So that's been encouraging to me to see it. I'm a person of faith, and so I have a lot of hope in that, right? And Lord. And so that really guides sort of what I do on a day-to-day basis in terms of the optimism of that and sort of I think anytime you come up to, this is something I talked with Anwar about a few weeks ago, is just, I think we all sort of had the benefit in some way. And I know I say benefit, that may not be the right word, but we sort of came up to the edge of the cliff and sort of had to look over and say, all right, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what's over that. I'm not sure what next week holds, and then I think a lot of us now in some ways are coming back off that, but it gives you good perspective. I think to be able to walk up to that, see it, kind of wrestle with that fear and that doubt and the uncertainty, and then have that really change your perspective on what's important, what you need to be doing, what you need to be focusing on.
I love it. We're going to cut that into a clip for tomorrow's show and play it on tomorrow's show. That was good, man. You were good. David, thank you for joining us. I'll stay in touch with you. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for giving us the knowledge. You're getting thanks from other chefs and restaurant owners right now on the show. Thanks for coming on the program, man. We appreciate you, David. You have a good one. Locally owned 6 locations right there. Barbara, we're going to go to you in a couple minutes. Barbara Lundgren, the star of the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. She's going to join us to preview tomorrow's program and give us some knowledge bombs on weddings and events in about 60 seconds, Barb. 60 seconds, I'm going to go to you. Guys, give the show a like and a share. Like and a share. Andre Xavier says, sadly, we temporarily suspended CVille delivery services due to the lack of demand and orders. Very sad. I think that is a reflection of the restaurants opening and the pent-up demand saying we want to go and eat out. Another thing that I really want you guys to follow, make a good chunk of money on Wall Street. Uber is strongly making a push to try to buy Postmates now. Uber tried to purchase Grubhub in a multi-billion-dollar deal, billion with a B. Uber is sitting on a war chest of money, and it wants to vertically integrate its offering by saying, hey, we can use Uber for getting around in a car, but also for delivering stuff to you. So Uber's trying to buy Postmates now after the deal with Grubhub fell through. Every restaurant owner that's watching this program, please follow the Uber and Postmates deal very closely. The last thing we need is the aggregation or the consolidation of delivery options. Because when you have less options on the market, you get more monopolistic control from those options that are servicing the market. I would encourage every restaurant that's watching this show to consider an in-house delivery piece of some capacity. Because Grubhub, Postmates, and Uber Eats, they do not care about your brand. They're going to screw your profit margin, and they're going to stack orders to get efficiency with their business model. They'll go and pick up one kind of food from one restaurant, more food from another restaurant, and another food from another restaurant, and then deliver all 3 on one swoop. Instead of getting food, delivering it, getting food, delivering it. The reason they stack orders is to maintain efficiency. The problem with stacking orders is it leads to bad food quality. If Uber buys Postmates after the deal with Grubhub fell through, that is not good for the marketplace. Judah, I'm going to go to Barbara Lundgren here. David had some good stuff. I know we had some audio issues with David, but he dropped some really good stuff. I'm calling Barbara Lundgren now, Judah. We still have to catch up about the wool factory. We still need an update on fireworks. I've let you know that the Wegmans Pub and the CVille IHOP have closed forever. Now we get the fairy godmother on the line. Judah, fairy godmother's on the line. Can I get a thumbs up to welcome her to the show? All right, I'm getting the thumbs up. Barb, you're live, lady. How are you? I'm doing well. So this is a different background. You are not in Lynchburg. Is it frightening that I'm now starting to know the backdrops in your home and whether or not you're at Lynchburg or here? Is that scary? Barbara Lundgren. Barbara's the star of the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase tomorrow at 10:15. What do you have planned for the show tomorrow? Judah, are you hearing Barbara?
I'm not hearing her.
Okay, hold on, Barbara. Judah's giving me here. Do you have your mic turned on, Barb? Okay, what do you got, Judah? Give us some feedback. You need to talk here, Judah.
I'm hearing her from your computer, but I'm not hearing her from the feed.
All right, Barbara, let me call you back. I want to hear this. We'll call you right back. Okay, we'll call you right back here. So you were getting it through, Judah?
Let's try her again.
Okay, we're going to try Barbara one more time. Tiffany Rosales. Oh, I cannot wait for Tiffany Rosales. All right, Barbara, we're going to try you again here. You were dropping some knowledge bombs. We got people that want to hear you talking here. We got her on the line, Judah. I got you. How about you, Judah?
Okay, let me wait for the feed to catch.
Okay, so Tiffany Rosales, you were talking, and that's where we last heard you.
I'm still not having her come through. She's not coming through on here.
Talking to the mic.
I am.
Yeah, I think Judah needs to get some things together here. Let me see what we can do here. So you're not hearing her on your end, Judah. You need to talk into the mic, man.
I'm not hearing her on my end.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to. I don't know what's going on here, Barb. Let's see what we can figure out, and I'll text you. Okay. Okay. I'm definitely hearing you loud and clear. It's coming amazing. I mean, you got two killer guests. You got Tiffany Rosales coming, and I'm really excited for her. I'm really excited for the story of triplets. I mean, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, the Kibblers have been so. I've been so impressed with how they've told their story on social media. I felt like I've been part of this journey with this beautiful couple as they have triplets coming to the world. It's amazing.
I'm still not hearing her come through.
Okay, Barbara, I'm gonna relay everything you just said to everybody. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. You're gonna have a different shirt on too. We're gonna see your shirt. That's true. Okay, I will tell them. Barbara's going to have a new shirt for us tomorrow. I'm a Southern Baptist that was raised in a Catholic school but grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. So I'm this religious mutt, but I'm a man of God, a God-fearing man that literally was like, here's some Jewish, here's some Southern Baptist, here's some Catholicism. When I'm 13 years old, I'm like, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, yes, yes, yes. So it's going to be good. Okay. I'm gonna highlight the 4th of July here and Barbara Lundgren. Ray Cadell wants us to talk about it. We will see you mañana, Barb. I can't wait. You have a good one, lady. Barbara, you have a good one. Yeah. Barbara Lundgren is amazing. We will get to the firework update. The audio, it's, man, always at the mercy of the interwebs with programs like this. Tomorrow at 10:15, guys, I am so excited with the brand that she's building. She's giving a very clear indication of what's happening in the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, the Virginia Wedding and Event industry, and she's introducing us to the major people in this industry. Barbara's amazing. So Nate and Ann Kibler tomorrow. They own Photo Booth Charlottesville. Ann is the Charlottesville makeup artist. And they also have White Wedding Bounce House. So Nate and Ann are like creating this wedding empire of vertically integrated services that they're offering weddings. You can do photo booth. I love photo booths. You can do bounce houses at weddings where kids can stay out of trouble and just bounce on a bounce. I would be in the bounce house with the kids. I would have a couple of beers and some bourbon. I swear I would be in the bounce house. My wife would literally be going to the bounce house and she would be saying, Jerry, this is for children. You're the only adult here bouncing in this bounce house. What are you doing? And she then would say, you know what? Keep bouncing. You're just a big kid. And she knows me. And then they have Charlottesville makeup artists. And then how about the Commonwealth Cake Company with Tiffany Rosales tomorrow? I'm very, very excited for tomorrow's program, the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase. In fact, Tiffany just shared the stream. Tiffany just shared the stream. I love it. Tiffany Rosales is watching the show, and we're talking about her. Jamie Schwartz says, oh, I'm a huge fan of Tiffany, both personally and professionally. Thank you, Jamie Schwartz, for saying that. On that note, this Monday, Jamie Schwartz and Kelly Jackson are launching a show on this network called Women Changing Our World. And every Monday from 10:15 to 11:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network, you're going to hear Jamie and Kelly doing their do-si-do about women changing the world with some big-time guests. These are two vibrant, dynamic, intelligent, outgoing personalities for Monday at 10:15 on women changing the world on the I Love CVille Network. All right, a couple of more items I want to get out of the notebook before we go to before I get off air. And remember, at 3 o'clock today, Patty Zeller is going to join us for What's Barking Local from 3 to 3:30 on this network. And we're going to talk about her expanding her business to the Ix Art Park and all the new businesses that are coming to Ix. Lampo is coming to Ix. Animal Connection is coming to the Ix Art Park. More stuff happening at Ix. That story at 3 o'clock here on the I Love CVille Network. Before we get to that, a couple things I want to get to. Judah, do you have the Wool Factory sizzle reel ready to go?
I do.
So the Wool Factory is this fabulous event and wedding venue. It's got a brewery. It's got a restaurant. Willow Tree Apps is there. And it's right across the city line in Albemarle County in historic Woolen Mills. Yesterday, we had the visionaries and the partners behind the Wool Factory on the show, and they gave us a snapshot of what we can expect. It's open for business. You need reservations to go to the brewery, but it's open for business, and I think this is going to have a big-time impact on the community. Let's hear about the Wool Factory. Let's play the sound in 3, 2, 1. Tell us, because I love the story, the idea for the project.
Yeah, we, like most people in Charlottesville, didn't know that this building existed before the first time we walked through. It was May 3 years ago. We're also involved in Grit Coffee here in town, and we were looking for a home to put our coffee roaster. And in that process, kind of stumbled into a conversation with Brian Roy, the developer of the project. At the time, he was looking for some commercial tenants, and we were looking for some commercial space to put a roaster. And we obviously have changed it a lot since then, and our roaster is happily located somewhere else in town. But yeah, that was the initial way that we found the project, and we just loved the building so much, knew that it was such a unique thing for Charlottesville, and really just wanted to be a part of the project. So we basically just hung on for the ride for the last couple of years, kind of waiting to see everything come together. And it was originally going to be a residential project that turned into a mixed-use project that turned into 100% commercial. So
I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about having another option. I think Woolen Mills is going to rally around this. I think if you own property in Woolen Mills right now, you're sitting on a freaking gold mine. If you own property in Woolen Mills right now and you're concerned about traffic and congestion, I'd consider selling your home, because this is only going to get larger and more congestible. But this is going to do well. This is going to do well. And I think it's going to do well because you have a number of things you can do there. You can have a wedding at the Wool Factory, okay? You can have a wedding at the Wool Factory, and you still don't have to shut down the restaurant or the brewery. So many times we've gone to a venue, whether it's a venue, a brewery, or a winery, and we've had to leave because a wedding is happening at 5 o'clock. For this circumstance, it's not. And one of the partners said this best. It's rare this close to downtown mall to have a venue that can accommodate this many people. You have venues like Omni, right? The Omni Hotel. And I love the Omni Hotel. I'm not knocking the Omni Hotel. I love the Omni Hotel, okay, guys? No issues with the Omni. But the Omni is not going to have the same local flavor as the Wool Factory. That's fair to say, right? Isn't that fair to say? Okay? And it's a mile from the mall. So you can have your wedding there and then have the after party downtown and have to go less than a mile to the mall. That's going to be a big-time thing that happens there. Let me get to some questions, comments, and concerns. And I apologize if we didn't have any sound there, guys, for some of our guests, or if it dropped. Now, this question, I don't agree with this, Gary. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this out, but I don't agree with your take. I appreciate you watching the show. Gary Grant says, put Mayor Walker's quote about UVA returning in the fall back on screen, Judah. Gary Grant, one of our viewers, says this: does anyone think Mayor Walker's comments about not wanting international students back at UVA are racist? I don't think she meant it that way. I think she just meant it that she wanted safety for the community. and having students from all over the world come to Charlottesville for fall semester is going to potentially spread COVID. She did not mean it from a racist standpoint. So I'm going to have her back there. She just meant it. I don't want students from around the world coming to Charlottesville because it could lead to the spread of COVID in my community in Charlottesville. And she says, and she's right, the folks that are most susceptible to getting COVID are folks that are working on the front lines, and they're often black or brown. Those are facts. So that's why she's saying it. She's not saying it from a racist standpoint. I got Mayor Walker's back on that. I will say this, though. If you don't have students in the fall, Mayor Walker, you're not seeing the big picture of the tax revenue on the back end plummeting. And when the tax revenue plummets on the back end, you as the mayor and as council members are going to make some really tough decisions when it comes to schools and police and fire and rescue and roads and affordable housing and equity and equality and justice and closing the wealth gap. You have none of that if your budget has no money. Do you hear what I said? If your budget is down and you have no money, affordable housing will suffer, social justice will suffer, and the wealth gap will get larger. So basic common sense says, don't turn your back to 25,000 students coming to Charlottesville by saying, as the mayor, I do not support you coming to grounds. Okay? Right, Gary? I know. No, not Gary. No, not Gary. Carol Thorpe says this, more to question about Nakara Walker's leadership. On Monday's show, you asked her yet again to step up as mayor to call for an end to vandalism in Charlottesville. My suspicions about her silence were confirmed when I read her statement about the unrest in Richmond in an interview published in Vogue yesterday. She stated, this is from Carol Thorpe from the Vogue article, Mayor Walker stated, I was moved by the pictures from the Richmond protest of the statues being thrown down. That's beautiful. It's simply beautiful. Carol continues, if the mayor found the Richmond protesters with its spray painting and destruction of statues beautiful, it explains why she will not speak up about what's going on in Charlottesville. In my opinion, I find it irresponsible of her office, and I fear such a comment could be taken as a dangerous dog whistle to would-be vandals. Carol Thorpe, Carol Thorpe, Carol Thorpe. Carol Thorpe dropping knowledge bombs. Carol, I agree with a lot of what you had to say. A lot of what you have to say. Tiffany Rosales, I'm so excited for tomorrow. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. Stephanie Rhodes says, we love the pub at Wegmans. We love the pub at Wegmans too. If you're just tuning in, the pub at Wegmans is closed permanently in Charlottesville, and so is IHOP in Charlottesville. It is closed permanently. Barbara Lundgren said, I fed quite a few bridal parties with Jimmy John's sandwich trays. This is a good question. What about homeschooling, Jerry? What are the pediatrics saying about homeschooling? So this comes back to the story we talked about in the beginning of the show. The leading association of pediatrics in America, these doctors have said it's imperative that our kids go to in-person school in the fall, because if they don't, this generation of students will be set behind in levels we've never seen before, from a verbal, a math, a social, a physical standpoint, and they also risk having bad stuff happen at home because of the extra time there. I don't even want to get into that as a young father. So the question just asked, what about homeschooling? I'm going to counter by saying, guys, okay, if your kid is in a homeschool situation with just himself or herself, maybe a couple of other kids, that's not going to teach socialization, right? You know what socialization is? Your second grader goes to the sharing mat in front of the desk, and your second grader is playing with Blippi, and he loves Blippi, and then another second grader comes over and rips the Blippi doll away from your second grader, and then your second grader has two different ways that he or she can respond: anger, temper tantrum, communicate, or say, I need to share. That's socialization. And you're not going to get that in a one-on-one homeschooling environment. I'm not knocking homeschooling, but that's a fact. That's a fact. More comments coming in. Let's go to the fireworks update, Judah. Why don't we get the fireworks on screen? We started this 2 weeks ago with $0. No land to launch the fireworks. Bob Shada comes on this program, runs the fireworks, and says, I got no land from the city, I got no land from the county, and it's now up to us as private citizens to raise the money for this fireworks show. That was about 2 weeks ago. Today, and I'm looking on screen, we have, ladies and gentlemen, $30,889 of a $35,000 goal. We have the best perch of land possible in Wendell Woods piece of property, and nearly $35,000 raised through private donations in Charlottesville. Donate, 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 donate. Hand over your chest on the 4th of July from 9:15 to 9:45, singing Proud to Be an American for 30 minutes. I'm proud. Are you? Donate. 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 Put the link on screen of how people can get involved. And in the headlines of the post, make sure it's the right link, please, that we include. Donate. 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 Man, I got so much more info that I even had a chance to get to. I have pages of local headlines and notes that other media outlets are not covering, or they're covering with a 23-year-old rookie reporter who all he or she is doing is regurgitating a press release as opposed to really reading the information. So I have so much content that I'm not going to be able to get to today because we're ridiculously busy and already in 5 minutes over. Judah, what do you think? Net proceeds go to the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank, too, for the fireworks show. So net proceeds are going to a nonprofit that needs money because it's feeding people that don't have money in their pocket because of COVID. It's beautiful. It's freaking beautiful. You want to go a couple of more minutes, J-Dubs? Or what are you thinking?
It's up to you, Jerry.
All right, 2 more minutes, and we'll get cracking here. James Watson says this in a comment. What happens if the virus goes viral in our area and UVA hospital gets overrun? Most of the people being treated at UVA currently are coming from Northern Virginia because our hospital won't turn people away. I pray all stay safe when students get back, but it's risky because 20-year-olds will not social distance. I agree with that, but the ramifications of not having the students on grounds this fall and next semester in the spring will send shock waves through this community that COVID-19 could never, ever match. I'm going to say it again. The financial and economic ramifications of not having UVA students in this community will supersede and will send shockwaves through this community that COVID-19 can never, ever do. I think until we get a vaccine, we're at the point of strategically managing this thing. Strategically managing this thing. And strategically managing this thing, you can do a lot of ways. But if you're the mayor and you don't support students coming to grounds, come on now. Come on now. That's not big. That's not big picture, is it? Let's save Alex Erpy for tomorrow, please. Judah Wickhauer. We'll save that sizzle reel for tomorrow. We're going to introduce a couple of new elements to tomorrow's show, too. I can't wait for you to see what's happening. And we're very close to announcing yet another new show on the I Love CVille Network. And this one, an established broadcaster that's on traditional media. Get ready. Get ready. This is the I Love CVille Show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. I hope you guys have a good day. Good show. We're going to figure out what the deal was with the audio.